that you have had. It's not that you don't have resources. It's not that you don't have supporters. It's not that somebody doesn't believe in you. It's that you have not believed in you. Stop sleeping on yourself. Step into your authenticity. Step into your intelligence and your brilliance. Release your gift. God has given you something great. Release it.
Can you make me a beat, Valentine?
I've been waiting such a long time.
What up, y'all? Mr. Be Great Today, Lamar King Sr. back at you on this Sunday evening, August 13th, 2023, with another dope episode of On Air with Mr. Be Great Today. First of all, I want to make sure you guys go subscribe, follow, like, share Mr. Be Great Today on all social media platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, IG, all of it. I'm everywhere. Mr. Be Great Today, On Air with Mr. Be Great Today. I'm easily found. Make sure you guys go tap in with your boy. Got a great show lined up for you guys today and some wonderful words of encouragement to my loyal listeners. I thank you guys for always, tuning in and getting what I got to offer for you all. And I hope as the listeners, I appreciate the positive, both positive and negative feedback. It's essential to the growth of this show. And we're going to continue to do our thing over here on Be Great Today Studios. But the topic of discussion today is authentic intelligence. I know many of us in today's age, we heard about the new wave of AI, artificial intelligence. My son introduced it to me, I would say probably about a year ago, maybe 6 months to a year ago, I'm not sure. And it was because he's a college student, and he was like, "Dad, they got this new software, program, or application that it's AI, and it can do anything you can tell it." I know you guys checked out Chat GTP, and if you haven't, go check it out. It's a nice little tool. It's kind of fun to play with. You can get it to do pretty much anything. But you got to think about artificial intelligence. Just think about the word for a second. And I want to correlate it to the show at hand today, because many of us are filled with artificial intelligence, something that we've taken for our own thoughts, our own way of living and doing things as our own, but in actuality it's a product of a variable of different things from our upbringing, our environment, and how we think today. A lot of times it's based on what we've been around mostly, what we've consumed mostly, right? So you think about artificial intelligence, it's by definition, it's made or produced by humans rather than occurring naturally. It's a copy of something natural, because being in an artificial state, we already know that it's fake. It's not real. It's a replica, a carbon copy of the original. And we already know the definition of intelligence, the way we think, our intellect, our know-how. So we're talking about fake know-how, telling us how to operate in the real world. If you guys are movie buffs like myself, we've all seen Terminator. And basically Terminator was AI that took over the world and, made machines take over the human race and all that stuff. But neither here nor there. The artificial intelligence that we've been consumed with here as of late is basically the theory or an educated guess and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation of languages. So think about that for a second. The AI that we use, ChatGTP and a number of others, is the theory, educated guess, pretty much, and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that would normally require human intelligence. And now we're relying on a program to perform things like visual perception, speech recognition, decision making. That's that whole Terminator thing. The machine starts to determine what's better for the operator than the operator himself, if that makes sense. Stay with me so you guys can get where I'm going with this, right? When you think about the word perception, what comes to mind? Understanding, maybe, how you think, how you view things. Perception really just means you're alive. It's just you're aware of the God-given senses that you have. You're able to process, understand, understand life. And also with perception, you're able to interpret life. And in culture, in your environment, in your upbringing, plays a big role in your perception of what life truly is in your shoes. For example, I recently started selling cars, and the owners of the dealership are from Palestine. And there are very different cultural differences between myself and other colleagues and the owners because of our upbringing, the way we see things, the way we view things. Some things that you may view as right and just normal, a person from a different culture or a different upbringing could think the complete opposite. They can think it's completely wrong. And I think what we have to keep in mind is that the shell or the environment that you were brought up in determines your perception on life. Determines how you interpret things, whether they be good or bad, right or wrong, based on your upbringing, right? And that's why, and that's why culture plays a big role in it, because culture is who you are. It just means that your culture is based on why you're alive, your reason, your why. And that's why the perception of what life is and what you think it is oftentimes based on the world around you, the things you've been taught, the information that you've engulfed, right? And that's why it's very important that we get down to the authentic intelligence that we possess. Just think about the word authentic. By definition, authentic is of undisputed origin, certified genuine in its existence. Your true, innate, natural personality, values, and perceptions of life. That's authentic. If you compound that with intelligence, you got the undisputed origin of intellect, as opposed to made or produced by humans rather than occurring naturally intellect. You follow me? So we got to find a way. Where do we find our true, genuine self? Where are our own thoughts in the equation? That's the authentic intelligence that we must seek out and find for ourselves to operate in our own capacity rather than regurgitate things that's been taught to us in the environment that we are consumed by, right? Because our perceptions and our views and values of life is solely, I would say, is majority dictated by where you come from. What type of environment were you brought up in, right? And there's a psychologist named Carl Rogers that has this theory of a sixth sense called subception. And that's just really the perception of who you are in the equation. It's kind of like in a movie you ever seen where a person was standing outside themselves and watching themselves interact. The subception of who you are is that third person that really makes the decision. It's kind of like, Fred Flintstone. You have the good Fred and the bad Fred, and Fred is in the middle, and that person in the middle is the decision maker. We've already said just about in the artificial intelligence, they've given the program the ability to make decisions. So the subception of yourself is who you are, the ones who's making the decision to pick either this or that, who choose to follow maybe this doctrine or that doctrine, who thinks this is right and that is wrong, but also thinks that's wrong and this is right. If I'm making sense, are you following me? The innate person, the natural innate person of who you are that decides the major factors of how you think and look and interpret life from your point of view. That's the subsection. That's the authentic intelligence of who you are. But I want you guys to try this exercise. For the next 2 weeks, I want you to detach yourself from your thoughts and the things that you say. What do you mean by that, Mr. Be Great Today? Before you speak in a situation, think about it. What response and where is it coming from? Is it coming from the way that you were raised and the way that you've been taught to respond to that situation? Or is it the exact opposite? You may be trying to turn the leaf and turn the page and be a different person. It's the direct opposite of what you thought. But I'm talking about detach yourself from both positive and negative responses in the situation and decide which one is actually you. Am I making sense to somebody? Oftentimes we just speak on things from a point of view that's been placed in our lives and we had no control. It's kind of like, that's why children's lives are so important, because the environment that they come in is going to dictate how they view life. Oftentimes parents are trying to control the environment. so their child is not, exposed to things that they're not really ready for. But unlike ourselves, as we walk this walk of life, now we've taken all the combined experiences of life, and now we walk this walk, and now we make decisions based on the things we've been through, the things we've encountered, the environment we come up in. And that determines how we handle situations, because one, we may have done it before, we may have seen someone else done it, but at the end of the day, who is making that decision? Is it the experiences you've been through, or is it actually you? Is it the authentic intelligence of the innate, natural, undisputed origin of your own thoughts, as opposed to the environment and the things you've been, exposed to? That's why we have to be careful that this artificial intelligence doesn't take over the mind as in the movie Terminator, as in the things that you've consumed the most, the things that you've been surrounded with, dictate how you unfold in life, dictate how you handle situations, as opposed to finding that true authentic intelligence, that true innate natural undisputed origin of yourself, and act on it accordingly. I hope I'm making sense to somebody right now. Because most of what you think and most of what you say are truly the opinions of other people. It's either some of the things you've read or the things people have told you, which is a benefit. Because a lot of people over the years have mastered that concept, and you hold it and you have took it as your own. But it also can be a disadvantage because it's not exactly you, right? So for the next 2 weeks, let's try to detach ourselves from your thoughts and your words. And I want you to try to figure out which of your thoughts are actually you, not something that's been programmed, so to speak, into how you operate, not something that's been given to you repeatedly as someone else's truth, but yet and still you pick it up as your own truth. I challenge you to separate, detach, stop for a second before you speak, and use that true authentic intelligence within yourself. Now, it's hard to do because we've been molded in various ways in life, from different scenarios and different places and different people, that oftentimes we don't take time to actually realize it's the information that's coming out of our mouth, the words and phrases that are coming out of our mouth, are they actually ours? Is it true authentic intelligence, or is it artificial intelligence, something that's made and produced to look like the original, but it's fugazi, right? In other words, artificial intelligence, you involuntarily regurgitate it as your truth, and it has no perception. It's not alive. It has no true decision-making skills. It has no real interpretation of what life is, because you're on autopilot with your thoughts and your words. You may ask yourself, what are you? And many people identify themselves with their intellect. So they, based on their knowledge, based on their experience of life and the things they've been through and the things they've mastered and the things they've failed at, they base themselves on their intellect, and they identify themselves with how smart they are or the knowledge they've obtained. That's why so many people, they love their degrees. No knock on higher education. I love it. But you can't identify yourself with something that someone else told you. Degrees means that you got a lot of information from somewhere else. And I'm not, again, this is not a play on or a shot at higher education, but I'm just using it as an analogy as far as like the things that you consume. Sometimes people identify with that first, who in essence, that's not exactly who they are, because we're more than what we know. We're more than just the things we've consumed as knowledge. We're more than the letters in front of our name and the letters behind our name. We are true innate human beings that have taken on and using the information we've obtained and using it in our life. But I'm saying, get down to the meat and potatoes of who you are. Get down to the nitty gritty of who you are, because what you give attention to is really who you are. That's the whole essence. Attention, I would take attention over intellect any day, because the things you give attention to is in a higher order of function than intelligence, because attention teaches intelligence. What you pay attention to most is what you're going to learn, is what you're going to obtain. So I want you to monitor what you give attention to, and I want you to pay attention to that conversation with yourself But before you speak, just try this exercise. Just having dialogue with the next person before you speak. Which words are going to come out of your mouth that are authentic? Which words are going to come out of your mouth that are really you? Which thoughts are going to come into your head that are truly you? Evaluate your thoughts for the next few weeks. Evaluate your phrases, and you'll find out the things that you think and ultimately say, they're not really you. If you're honest with yourself, you have cliches about what you think life is, created by different variables in your life, the environment, culture, your upbringing, that you've taken ownership of. And I call it artificial intelligence, made or produced by human beings rather than occurring naturally. The things we know, or the things we think we know, the right, the wrong, oftentimes is portrayed as authentic, but in all actuality, it's artificial intelligence. It's something that was given to you. Some people may not understand where I'm going with this episode because you don't take time really to know you. I'm a firm believer of self-development and self-awareness. And you got to take time out to understand that a lot of the things that you hold near and dear to your heart, that you stand on, it's not truly your own thinking. It's not truly your own innate, natural, undisputed origin, genuine truth. It's a carbon copy of what mama them said, what your daddy taught you. And their lives is just a carbon copy what mama them told them, and so on and so forth. But when do we get down to the root? When do we get down to that undisputed origin, that genuine, true self of who you are? Not what social media says is politically correct. Because most people don't live out their dreams and their things they truly want, the true person of who they are, because they bought into this thing that has been taught and told to us of what success truly is, or what happiness truly is, or what a man or what a woman is, and all these different things being defined by society, but never took an account of who they truly are for themselves. That one in the middle, that one that makes the decision on whether to listen to the GPS or take his own route in this thing called life. Because I'm telling you, it's a slippery slope, because we can take on so-called AI, artificial intelligence, as truth, when in all actuality, the authentic self is not even in the equation. Because we've been so conformed to this world. We've been so conformed to the environment that we were brought up in. And that level of thinking and that generational curses sometimes of how we handle situations and look and view at different areas of our lives sometimes is based on some artificial intelligence that we truly have never adopted. We just go through the motion. It's kind of like being an assembler on the assembly line. You do the same job repetitively over and over again to the point where you don't even know you're doing. It's kind of like from the first time you drove, your hands were at 10 and 2, seatbelt, checking mirrors, you making sure you're watching everything. Now you've been driving 10, 20 years, and now you don't even, sometimes you go through the red light and you don't even know if it was green or not. That RAS, you already knew. You're just so accustomed. You've done it so many times that you don't even think about it. You do it without thinking. And sometimes the way our perceptions of life and our interpretation of life is based on some artificial intelligence that has been taught to us over and over and over and over and over again, that we just do it just like when we drive through that red light. We didn't even pay attention that the light was green, but we just knew it because we've been doing it so long, and we have it down to a science that doing something repetitive, you don't even know you're doing it. You're doing it. It's kind of like breathing. We involuntarily regurgitate things that have been taught to us. That's just how we do, and we take it on as our own. And that's why it's very, very important that you get the true, authentic intelligence. It's kind of like, for example, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you guys go. It's kind of like my daughter. For you guys who been following me this past year, my daughter was born 23 weeks premature. And Courtney came early. She had to spend 5 months in the NICU, and weighing only 1 pound 1 ounce, right? But the thing about it is, because she was taken from her natural environment so early, and she had to be put into a simulation of what her mother wombs was in the NICU, a lot of the development, as far as physical development of her, is a little slow, right? Courtney is 10 months old now, and a lot of times people are like, she's so small for 10 months, because she was taken from her natural environment. She wasn't getting the authentic intelligence from her mother's womb the last 5 months, the last 2 trimesters of my wife's pregnancy. it had to be a simulation, so her body didn't develop as fast or as rapid as it would if she was in the womb. So the artificial intelligence couldn't keep up with the authentic intelligence of the mother's womb. So now Courtney has physical therapy, twice, two, 3 times a week, because she at 10 months, a lot of kids at 10 months, they're starting to walk. They're starting to, pull up on things like that. But Courtney is just starting to crawl, because her first months of her life into this world, it was a simulation. She came she was outside of her authentic environment. And that's what happens in this world today. That what happens to a lot of us. We haven't operated in our authentic self. We haven't operated with our own authentic intelligence. We're just regurgitating involuntarily, right? Because we're doing it without thinking. It's kind of like the way your eyes just blink. You don't have to tell it. It does it. Oftentimes, we think the same way artificially because it's involuntary. We've done it so often, and it can't. And when you think about it, the artificial way, the way of picking up someone else's way of thinking, is not as effective as the authentic intelligence of who you are. It's just like Courtney, the simulation of her mother's womb, it kept her alive. She survived. She's a real trooper, but it definitely couldn't keep up with the authentic intelligence of a mother's womb. And that's the same way when I'm talking about yourself, the same way when I'm talking about the way you think, the way you operate, your perception of life, your interpretation of what life truly is. Oftentimes it's regurgitated from someone else's. Oftentimes it's something that's been taught to you over and over again, and you've taken it as your own. And this is no shot at how you were raised or how you live or how you come up. But I'm saying it's time for you to find out who you are. It's time to find out who is really making the decisions. Are you thinking for yourself, or are you just a product of your environment? Or are you just a product of what's been taught to you? And I challenge you, try this for the next 2 weeks. Detach yourself from your thoughts and your sayings and your phrases and the words that come out of your mouth. Take a second and think, is that me, or is that something that's been told to me? Do I truly feel that way? Do I truly feel that way about myself? Do I truly feel that way about society? Do I truly feel that way about everything? And you can start with certain areas of your life, but when you think about it, it's so many different things that we've been taught. It's so many different things that's been given to us, and we've taken it on as our own. But how do you get down to the real authentic intelligence of who you truly are, and separate it from the things, and separate it from the chatter sometimes that's within yourself? That's a challenge. It's a hard thing to do. That's why meditation sometimes is so difficult for beginners, because your mind is so filled with everything that's going on, and you don't know how to separate your thoughts and just have silence, have quietness. And oftentimes when you're trying to make a decision, you got so many different scenarios going on through your head. But how do you silence the noise and listen and find that authentic you? How do you do it? You got to do it through practice. You got to take time and take a minute and monitor the thoughts in your head. Monitor the words that you say. And I want you guys to give it a try. I want you to give it a try and see if the things that you truly have been standing on for so many years, is it truly you? And how you going to figure that out? If it makes you feel inferior or weak before you say it, that's probably not your thought. That's probably not the authentic intelligence of yourself. But if it's something that you feel confident, and not to the point where you're just arrogant about the words that you say, but you feel confident, you feel safe, that may be the innate, natural, undisputed origin of who you are. But it's a slippery slope, and sometimes we can pick up that AI, that artificial intelligence, and it feels so real. It feels so authentic. But in actuality, it may be something that's not truly you. All right? And that's all I got for y'all today, man. I hope I didn't go too deep. I hope I didn't miss a lot of I hope I didn't go too far over maybe some people's head with the analogy, but I just want you to get down to the real meat and potatoes of and find out who you are and what you want. Not the outside noise and the things that's, been hovering around and over your life, kind of swaying you and guiding you in certain directions. I want you to find that true, innate, undisputed origin of yourself. And I know if you act authentically, you can't go wrong. As long, because even doing wrong, even handling things in the wrong way, that has to be taught to you. Huh? Even the mistakes that you made, oftentimes before you realize it was a mistake, it was something that was promoted to you and you took it as truth. You took it as unadulterated fact until you found out otherwise, until you found out, hey, that ain't right. Hey, that ain't true. And guess what? You change your perception based on the experience. But in essence, before you were taught the wrong way to do it, what were you thinking then? Where were your thoughts in the equation then? Huh? I challenge y'all, man. Find out your authentic intelligence of who you are and the things you truly want. Your interpretation of what life truly means to you in your decision making throughout the day. Don't let the AI take over your life like the Terminator, and where it comes in and it feels like it knows better than the operator. It feels like it knows better than the driver or the pilot of that ship or the captain of that ship. It's giving you information that's making you deter out the path of where you really want to go and how you want to move and how you want to react and say things and think. Because our environment and the influence that's placed on our minds is something that they have people they pay to analyze. How do I capture the attention of the consumer, which is you? How can I influence them? That's why the internet, you got content creators, influencers, you got people trying to influence, myself included. I want to influence you to find your higher self, find the true, innate, undisputed origin, genuine self of who you are, and you drive that boat. But it's going to take some practice because it's been years and years of clutter that oftentimes we never filter through. And this is the time to do that now, to try to shy away from the artificial intelligence that you've picked up as truth and come into your own authentic intelligence, the natural human being that you are. All right? So y'all make sure y'all go check me out. Mr. Be Great Today on TikTok, YouTube, and Fanbase. Be Great Today INC on IG, and On Air with Mr. Be Great Today on Facebook. I love you all. And you already know. Be great today. Peace.